Hey guys, welcome to Miyagi Mornings, episode 13. There's Fox the Cat joining us. You can't see him, but he's behind the camera. Let's say hello to Fox the Cat. Those of you on the podcast can't see him, but those of you in the video world, Fox the Cat. He's the outdoor cat. Does a lot of good things around here, controlling the rodent population. Anyway, Fox, off you go, mate. Anyway, so what are we going to talk about today? I got an email question for Miyagi Mornings. And it was really more, it was a Reddit thread about stocking your pantry and all the things that you should put in your pantry, and maybe that'd be a good subject for this. Even though I've talked about it extensively on the podcast, again, these are short segments for people that don't have the time or are not quite ready yet to invest an hour to an hour and a half a day into a podcast on preparedness, self-sufficiency, self-reliance, independence, and liberty. Of course, that's called the Survival Podcast. You can find it where? tspc.co. Wouldn't want you to get tired typing out the big domain, so I've got a short one for you. Anyway, I think this is a great topic, especially as we round out 2020, because a lot of people who thought preppers were crazy about March and April went, well, maybe they're not. And then those people, and I don't want to insult anybody here. I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way if this is you. But a lot of those people got into high reaction mode. And when they thought that all the supplies were going to dry up, they ran out and hoarded toilet paper and stuff like that. But they also hoarded a lot of other things. Dry goods, pasta, beans. I mean, I saw you go to the store anytime right now or before this all started, and dry beans are just, you can't give them away. But all of a sudden, everybody's buying giant bags of rice, giant bags of beans, giant bags of flour. I had people emailing me, how do I get raw wheat? Just going crazy for it. By the way, all my peeps that listen to me knew you could get all the raw wheat or raw barley or anything like that you wanted to make flour out of from home brew stores. They were never short on 50-pound bags of that stuff at all. Or feed stores. The wheat that you use is the same wheat we use in feed stores. So there was all these ways to get this stuff, but people panicked and they went into irrational reaction mode. And this is what I want you to understand today. People know action, reaction, and that's one way things happen. But proper action prevents improper reaction. And this is what we've tried to teach as preppers for a long time. And a big part of what fueled the excessive and improper overreaction of the public and wiped out these dry goods stores and things like that is people did what's in this Reddit thread. They got a list of things they should get, freaked out and ran out and bought that stuff with no idea, most of them, how to use it, why they were buying it or whatever. Just, the zombies might be coming along with COVID and we better make sure we have a bunch of stuff. This is why, after doing this now, I'm in my 13th year. It'll be 13 years total this summer coming up in the new year. Hopefully the new year will be better than the existing one. I have said I will not give you a shopping list. You have to make your own shopping list, and anybody that gives you a shopping list is a moron. Whether they know it or not, they are, because they can't know what your shopping list should be. Imagine, let's just take prepping out for a second, right? And you said, Jack, I'm going grocery shopping next week. What should I buy? Or I said that to you. I said, Bill, Tom, whatever your name is, I'm going grocery shopping next week. What should I buy? You'd be like, Jack's an idiot. How do I know what he's supposed to buy? I don't know what he eats. I don't know what he likes. So this is where it comes to stocking your pantry. And before I go into how to do this, there is a place for dry goods, bulk stores and stuff like that. I don't really eat a lot of rice and beans and things that are high in carbohydrates, but they are the best long-term survival foods out there. So if you want kind of a base of, if everything else fails, this is where I'm going. Couple 5-gallon buckets of rice, couple 5-gallon buckets of dried beans, or lentils would be even better because they're easier to cook, and a couple 5-gallon buckets of something like shell corn, a couple 5-gallon buckets of a grain like wheat or barley. Great. Put them in a 5-gallon bucket. Take a hand warmer, just like you get from the store this time of year for going hunting. Little ones in a bag, you rip them open. They're a giant oxygen absorber. Throw your stuff in the bag, throw that in there, put the lid on it. That lid ain't coming off until you cut it off, by the way, after you do that. Stick them back in the basement somewhere. It'll last 25 years and it's there and done. But that's not your day-to-day storage. That's not practicing what we teach, which is very simple. Eat what you store what you eat. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to get a stack of paper, a cheap notebook, something you can write on. And we're going to have this be a food diary. This is how we're going to figure out what we should be storing. And for the next 2 weeks, put that thing on your countertop and make a rule in the house, as long as the kids are old enough to write. If they eat something, write it down and make a deal with them. If you sneak something, I need to know it. And for the next 2 weeks, even if you sneak something, I might say something about it, but you won't be in any trouble. You need honesty here. what gets used. Now, after about 2 weeks of doing that, go through that list, and every single thing that's storable without refrigeration, put a star next to it, and tell your folks, now that we have a base list, every single thing that you use, put a check mark next to it if it's already written down, and only add to the list if it's something you haven't already put on the list. Do that for about a month. You'll have a great list of things. You'll have things that you know you use frequently, and you'll have things that you know you use frequently that store well. Then start practicing copy canning or copy boxing or whatever it is. If it's something that stores well, that doesn't need refrigeration, when you go to the store, don't buy 20 of them. This time when you were going to buy one, buy two, maybe three. And then stack them in your pantry exactly the way you do at the grocery store. The oldest items in the front, newest items in the back. Keep doing that until you have a deep pantry for a couple items. Then pick another 2 items and do it again. And over a few months, you end up with a well-stocked, organized, deep pantry where the new items come out the front and the old items the old items go out the front and the new items go in the back. And then, if you do that, you'll probably find pretty quick you can get by for a month or 2 without going to the grocery store. Maybe not having all the things you want, but you'll be okay. And then when a problem comes up, you'll go out and selectively buy the things that you need instead of panicking buying shit you don't know any idea at all what to do with. Then you need to start looking at, or concurrently, you kind of need to start looking at what are the things that I use a lot of that don't store without refrigeration or freezing. And the ones that store with freezing are the ones you also want to start copy buying. Get yourself, it's a little easier now than it was a couple months ago, and you should have done it long ago, a good stand-up chest freezer. The ones that you open up and they go down in like a normal chest freezer, yeah, they're more efficient, you can fit more shit in them. But you know what happens? Stuff ends up in the bottom, it never gets used, and it gets freezer burnt. Ask me how I know. Stand-up ones are much easier to organize, and start doing the same thing with your meats and things that need to be frozen. Start organizing it. Pork on this shelf, chicken on this shelf, beef on this shelf, that type of thing. Stuff in the back. My older episode that I did last week, a generator. Get a generator capable of running your refrigerator and your backup freezer. Put some gas aside, and you're ready to go for easy 2 months. If you can make it through 2 months of shortage and still get little bits of what you need, you can get through 90 to 120 days that way in complete and total comfort. And when everybody freaks out about the next disaster, and there will be one, there's panic buying in Washington and Oregon right now because your damn governors are locking people down again. That's not a reason to panic buy, but people are doing it anyway, and once it starts, it's competitive. It gets like, oh my, I better do it too. Oh my, I better do it too. Take these steps now. Make your own dang list. No, you wouldn't ask anybody else what to buy at the grocery store. Why would you ask anybody else what to prepare to do without for? Put up that which you consume. You'll never waste it. 3 years from now, you won't be put in a homeless box hoping they don't notice that it's long since expired. Rotate your food. Eat what you store what you eat. Take those carbohydrates that store long term. Put them in buckets or vaults or whatever. Stick them way in the back in case they're needed for emergency. And otherwise, go on with your life, folks. This isn't hard. We've been teaching this type of philosophy for a long time. You want to know more? Check out the podcast. There's over 2,700 episodes there. You can find it at tspc.co.